There is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one language, the language of the heart. There is only one God, He is omnipresent. No more anxiety, simply joy and peace. There is only one religion, the religion of love. There's only one religion, the religion of love. Offering my humble and loving pranams at the lotus feet of beloved Bhagavan, brothers and sisters, Sai Ram, and thank you all for having us here. We really appreciate and value your support and presence. And there are a team of wonderful friends that have worked hard, organized, and made our trip possible. I would like to thank Bhagavan for making this trip for us. Dr. Niru Madhuri, Sister Vasanti, Brother Rohan Balasurya, Carol and Dr. Mike Congleton, for their support, friendship, kind and warm welcome, and their hospitality. Thank you, and we feel blessed and honored to take part in this satsang. And our book, Faith, Hope, and Love, is written based on our personal experiences, life's lessons learned, and the insights gained as we held on to Swami's teachings. All of us have our own unique journeys and stories of how we've come to this spiritual path and to know of Swami and his teachings. And my journey to Bhagavan took place in the year 1972 due to my mother's ill health, which she developed after a major surgery. So my father had taken her to many doctors, and she took many treatments as well, but to no avail. And during one of those hospital visits, they happened to hear some melodious bhajans from a nearby place. And so my mother was drawn to that place. They went in search of that location and came to know that it was a local Sathya Sai Baba center. And a couple of weeks later on, she had asked my father to take her to see Swami in Puttaparthi. My father came from a Brahma Samaj missionary background where they believed in the universal, formless, divine principle or the Parabrahman, and they never practiced any idol worship or believed in the concept of avatars. But keeping my mother's health as the priority, he kept his beliefs aside. He took all of us to see Swami, and that was the first ever family pilgrimage we had. And as children, we were ecstatic to be there. And we loved having the darshans of Swami and enjoyed the bhajans, and would run right after Bhagavan retires to his residence to grab the sand from those divine footprints. And in those days, Swami used to come a couple of more times to the Purnachandra auditorium area, which was under construction, and would interact with all the workers. And so we will run there to catch a couple of more glimpses of Swami. And to our mother, by being in that divine ambience and receiving such pure, serene energy, healing, loving grace of Bhagavan, had healed her from within. So when we returned to our native town, she was totally a transformed person. Prior to our trip, she was barely able to do her work, but now she's filled with energy, enthusiasm, passion to serve others. So she started to cook for 100 people on each Thursday and would transport those food containers with the help of a couple of volunteers to the streets and would happily serve these homeless friends. And many women from our hometown took inspiration from her and joined in this project. So seeing this phenomenal change in my mother's health, my father slowly gravitated towards Bhagavan's teachings, and it resonated well with him. And he too joined the Sai Organization and took an active part in the community. As we were children, Bhagavan would call us and talk to us along with our parents. But in our teenage years, Swami took a special interest in us, and he guided us in many things. And when we were in our 20s, he started treating us as adults, and we were called for interviews without our parents. Any encounter or communication, any interaction we have with Bhagavan is valuable, precious, and meaningful. But for this evening, I thought of sharing a couple of those life-transforming, impacting experiences that have enhanced an understanding, awareness, and self-growth in me. So I remember this particular interview Swami had given us when he called all four of us, myself and three of my siblings. He looked at us and he said, "Oh, I know what happens in colleges these days. You go as individuals, and after you graduate, you come out in pairs. Why do you need to get distracted? I want you to focus on your studies. And if you think that you can do whatever you want and no one is watching you, you are mistaken. I'm always watching you. God is watching you," he said. Until then, we have seen the compassionate, loving side of Bhagavan. That's the first time we have seen the strictness of a teacher or a stern father in him. He said, "Your parents have trusted you and given you freedom, and I want you to get a good name to your family, to Bhagavan, and to you," he said. And he said, when things are going in your favor, when your father is in a position, you'll be surrounded by many people, and they'll greet you and cheer you. But when once things are not going in your favor, when you are helpless and alone, it is only God that will be with you. God is your best friend, he said. And so the sternness in his voice and powerful words galvanized our hearts and minds, and we were only focused on studies and never got digressed. And he called me aside and he said, "I will find a suitable husband for you, and you come to Puttaparthi, I'll talk to you, and I'll introduce you to him," he said. I said, "Swami, I want to work, I want to continue my studies." He said, "Yes, you can do all of that later. When I call you, you must come," he said. So a couple of months later, we did get a telegram saying Swami wanted us to come to see him. So we went, and Swami introduced our family to Shyam's family. He did the engagement for both of us and fixed the date, and he got us married in the year 1988 on July 6th. So during and after the wedding, he gave us few interviews. And I remember in one interview he said, he stretched his hand and he said, "Everything is in this hand. You can ask me anything, I'll give it to you. You ask me," he said. And then Shyam said, "Bhagavan, I want to be near and dear to you." And Swami asked us, "What do you mean by near?" Shyam said, "Swami, to be in your proximity." Swami said, "What do you mean by dear?" Then he said, "Swami, to please God at all times, to please Swami." Then he said, he gave a nice analogy, and he said, "There is this lake. In that lake there are beautiful lotuses, and these bees come from a far-off place to enjoy this nectar and this flower, whereas the frogs that are underneath it are missing out in seeing the splendor of that flower. Once you please God, once you are dear to God, you are near to God. I'm always with you, I'll be with you," he said. Those words of Bhagavan struck a deep chord in my heart. And when Swami says there are certain things, and when he advises us specifically something, either he is preventing us from making mistakes or warning us to be cautious and to believe in him. So when he advises us to follow certain path, to derive the benefit, all we have to do is simply obey him and follow his teachings in our lives. So after we got married, Swami provided a fantastic house for us in Bangalore, and Shyam had a very good job. Life was beautiful. And whenever we wanted something, we'll just run to Puttaparthi. And Swami would come to Vrindavan often. So his blessings, his guidance and assurance is always available for us. And there's no problem. If he didn't talk to us one time, he would definitely guide us. He would send his assurance either directly or indirectly. But God is not here. Incarnations have not come just to take care of our life, get us married, give us children, and help us to settle down in life. They are here for a higher purpose, to awaken the inner divinity in us, or to ignite the divine spark within each of us and take us close to realize that oneness or non-duality. It is only possible through self-experience or self-knowledge. So our real learning took place in the year 1994 when we moved to Texas. Until then, life was beautiful, but once we moved here, Shyam's status got completely changed from being a manager to a full-time student with 2 dependents, which is myself and our older son. We felt like fish out of water. All our expertise, experience, degrees were of no value. We had to start everything from the scratch. More than anything, we were deprived of Bhagavan's loving darshan and support of our parents, which have taken for granted. And that silence in that university was unbearable to handle. He was working 2 part-time jobs and he was attending full-time school. Life wasn't easy. And I held on to faith, hope, and love, and I kept praying. And during those tough times, on one particular occasion, I prayed to Swami, poured my heart out, and asked him to show his presence in our lives. And I wondered whether he remembered us as his dear children. And I forgot about my prayer and went on doing my chores. By end of the day, I got a call from India. My father was on the other line, and he said, "Oh, I've just come back from Whitefield. I went to have Swami's darshan. As I was stepping out, Bhagavan called me inside, and he inquired about your well-being. And he said, 'How is Shyam doing? How is your daughter doing? How is your grandson doing?' And he gave me vibhuti to be sent to you." I didn't know what to say. I was so happy and grateful. I thanked my father for giving us such a timely message from our beloved Lord. And Swami reaffirmed his omniscience to us. And I remembered his words when he said, "When you don't have anyone around you, when you are helpless and alone, when things are not going on in your favor, God will be with you. God is your best friend." And with divine grace, things have gotten better. We moved to Dallas City, and we found an incredible Sai Center, got involved in seva activities, and also in the community outreach events. And we were also fortunate to take a couple of trips to India. And Swami had called us for an interview. It was in the year 1998. We were so thrilled to be in the proximity of Swami, seeing him at close angles again. And he gave us Pada Namaskars. And then he looked at Shyam and said, "Oh, you thought you were separated from me, and you also thought that I have forgotten you. I was never away from you. I even helped you when you met with that head-on collision accident. I saved your life, he said. And then he also said, you were thinking of coming back. You were packing your bags every other day and you got depressed. I was always with you. And then he acknowledged the love and service of the overseas devotees. And he shared about our trip to Chicago and a couple of details of our talks as well. And he told me that, that he's watching us, he's been with us, and he conveyed his blessings to my sister and said, oh, let her know that her prayers have reached me. And being a doctor, if she herself neglects her health, how can she serve her patients? So ask her to take care of her health, he said. And then he brought a bag with lots of vibhuti packages and gave it to us and said, go and distribute to all the center members, he said. And then both of us were really excited, and we took the liberty of sharing about the service opportunities, activities, so many things that were going on in Dallas. We just opened our hearts and we kept talking to Swami. He kept listening and listening. And towards the end, we asked, Bhagavan, please shower us with more opportunities. We want to do seva. Then he said, yes, you must do service. It's wonderful. It is good and important. But now I want you to focus on keeping your heart pure. It is the sadhana, he said. I didn't know what he meant by keeping our hearts pure. I thought my heart was always pure. In fact, I was disappointed with his reply. I expected him to give us some guidance and everything. And later on, I understood the meaning of his words. So toward the end of the interview, he called me and he said, go and see your grandfather. I said, Swami, our international flight connections are there from Bangalore, and we are leaving in a couple of hours. He said, if possible, you must go and see him, he said. So we left Puttaparthi on the same day, and then we reached Dallas the next day. And we started seeing drastic changes that started to unfold in our lives. Within a couple of weeks, I heard that my grandfather passed away, and I felt extremely guilty for not listening to Bhagavan's words. And then I had problems at my work. By the time I got back from my vacation, they moved me from the area where I was teaching values-oriented curriculum to my students. They put me in some other area which I was not interested in. So I had to quit my job. And Shyam had to go through some tough times, and he eventually lost his job. There was a health challenge. Then there were a couple of more problems. And then a group of friends whom we trusted and loved the most chose to distance from us. I thought that they would come and support me. And now it felt like I was at crossroads again. I didn't know where to go or whom to approach for help. And I observed this constant inner dialogue that kept going in my head, and it took a toll on my body and mind. And I turned to Bhagavan. I remembered his words and his quote. He says, it is only in the depths of inner silence you can hear to the voice of God. And the Bible said, be still and know that I am God. I needed to experience this calmness and inner peace. I pleaded and asked Swami to help me experience that inner peace. And he led me to meditation. And so I was able to slowly tune out of this restlessness and noise and tune into inner stillness. And then I understood his words. When I went through all of this disappointments, that inner balance in my heart got disturbed. Swami was referring to that. So as I practiced this meditation with His grace, I was able to gain some insights. And I realized my own shortcomings, limitations. So in order to keep that inner balance, all I had to do is let go of all my expectations and wrong ideas, identifications, judgments, conditions. And all of this became a baggage for me. Once I move out of all of this, answers are ready and they are within me. So I've realized that I have to hold on to that temple in my heart, and that's my sanctuary. Like that Sufi quote which says, if you cannot find the temple in your own heart, you cannot find your heart in any temple. I know that I'm a work in progress, but Bhagwan, being the epitome of compassion and grace, continues to teach me and all of us and works with us patiently. And we continue to be the students of life. I pray to Swami to shower His blessings, guidance, and protection on all of us. And may we all continue to share His message of love with simplicity and humility and sanctify our lives. Thank you all for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you.
మట్టి నుంచి పుట్టిన చెట్టు మట్టి ఎగును. మట్టి నుంచి పుట్టిన చెట్టు మట్టి ఎగును. బ్రహ్మ నుంచి పుట్టిన సృష్టి బ్రహ్మ ఎగును. బ్రహ్మ నుంచి పుట్టిన సృష్టి బ్రహ్మ ఎగును. కాన కనులకు వేరుగా కానబడును. కాన కనులకు వేరుగా కానబడును. ఇది చిత్రంబు జగత్ చిత్రమనగా. ఇది చిత్రంబు జగత్ చిత్రమనగా. Swami says that the tree that comes out of the soil ultimately goes back to the soil, and in fact, it is only a modification of the soil. So also, creation emerges from the one source, Brahman, the Supreme Self, and it merges back in Him. However, to the eye, the soil appears separate from the tree, and creation appears different from its maker, from its creator. That, indeed, is the strange story of this creation. Bhagavan's avatar is to enable us to know this oneness, not merely as an intellectual appreciation, but as a factual experience. Swami is never interested in theory. He is only interested in practice. He says he doesn't want bookish knowledge. He wants practical knowledge. He wants knowledge that we can ascertain from our own experience, of our own life experience. As was said even in that video that was shared on the public outreach, it is not only about us raising our consciousness, but we are here to help others raise their consciousness. Because if ever you do an analysis of the problems or ills of this world, we are all trying to give band-aid solutions. Most of the intellectuals, top scientists, politicians, governments, what they have to offer is only band-aids. Bhagavan has done a root cause analysis, and He has given us the solution. We think that certain sects or certain types of people are inimical to the country. But if you can look beyond the apparent and go to the core problem, the problem is not in them, it's in how we relate with them, how our eye beholds creation. Swami has this, it is not theory when Swami says that there is only one. This is the truth, the fundamental truth. It's the foundational truth. And he has striven ceaselessly to help us all see that. When he says love all and serve all, it's not merely a slogan. It's a way of life. The entire Sathya Sai Organization, entire purpose for its existence is only to love all and to serve all. As Swami said, Jesus, when he was on the cross, when he was being crucified, and he was undergoing unbearable pain, a voice spoke to him and said, "Son, all life is one, be alike to everyone." And then he was able to forgive all. We think that we are tolerating or putting up with certain sections of people or certain ways of life, and that's because we do not know the truth. When we know the truth, we will understand how we are all related. And Swami taught this lesson to me in a very beautiful way. My brother and I used to go and see Swami very often in our student days. Back, I used to live in Madras, now called Chennai. And we would go, and he was very gracious. And he would confer his personal time on us. He would share his words of wisdom and encourage us and correct our ways. On one occasion, my brother was unable to join him on the trip because he was helping my father with something. And so I went alone. As my luck would have it, Swami graciously called me in for an interview. So I was feeling very happy. I was on cloud 9. And then I went in, and I was seated in the interview room along with others who had been invited for the same. And Swami was talking to a few people, and then suddenly looked at me and asked, "Where is your brother?" I said, "Swami, he's in Madras." At that time we used to call it Madras. "Oh, I see." And he again went around talking with others. Then he again came back to me after a little while and asked me, "Where is your brother?" So I said, "Swami, he is in Madras." And so I thought, "Oh, I see." And he went around and talked on. And the third time again, he asked me the same question, "Where is your brother?" This time I was quite exasperated and said, as if I'm talking to a child, I said, "Swami, he is in Madras." And then Swami said, suddenly Swami's demeanor changed. He straightened himself in his chair, this majestic chair like this, and he said, "Narrow mind." Oh, where did that come from? I was quite perplexed. Suddenly I didn't want to be in the interview room. I was no more on cloud 9. And I had wondered what had gone wrong. And then Swami said, "Who was the man sitting next to you?" I said, "Swami, I don't know." Swami said, "Know this, all are your brothers and sisters, not just the one who you say is in Madras." In that one moment, through this dramatization, Swami showed me and taught me about the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. I had read about this so many times. I have heard many speakers speak on this topic of brotherhood of man and fatherhood of God. But boy, it never went home as it did that day. And since then, with His grace, it has become ingrained in every nerve and cell of my body. imprinted in my heart. And then Swami also shared the story once with me. And he said, "You know the Mahabharata?" He asked me. I said, "Yes, Swami." And anyway, for the benefit of some who may or may not know, I'll just quickly give you the gist of it. In that you have two rival families. Actually, it's a war within the family, between cousins. On one side, you have the Kauravas, who are 100 brothers, and on the other side, you have the Pandavas, who are only 5 brothers. The 5 brothers were the very embodiments of righteousness, and the 100 brothers were just the opposite. And so, eventually, they came to loggerheads over property, and you all know that the Mahabharata ensued. And Lord Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas. And in fact, at the end of the war, the mother of the Kauravas was distraught, and she complained to Lord Krishna, and she asked him, "How could you be so partial? None of the Pandavas has died, all 5 are there, whereas my 100 sons have been massacred on the battlefield." And then he said, "Mother, it is strange that you should accuse me of being partial. First of all, please note this," he told her. "It was not that I was on the side of the Pandavas because I loved them. They were on the side of righteousness, and I am always on the side of righteousness. That is all. If the Kauravas are on the side of righteousness, I would have been on their side too. I don't choose between these or that. It is who is doing the right thing, I am on that side." So that was lesson number 1 that she got from the Lord. And I was here getting it from Swami. And the second part of it was, he said, "Mother, in all these years, you have never looked at your own children, because as the story goes, her husband was blind, and to show solidarity with her husband, though she had sight, she had blindfolded herself. And so she never got to see her own children." And then he said, "Your children never received your love. How can they receive the love of the Lord?" Why I say that is, I was immensely touched when I heard young Vivek speak over here. Seeing the young man develop, I know that he already received the grace of his parents and therefore the grace of the Lord. And as Brother Rohan rightly mentioned, the future is yours, and Swami looks up to you and such as you to transform this world. Because unlike adults, many adults have come to Swami. They have had to first unlearn what is wrong and then learn what is right. Whereas children, you all are like clean white sheets of paper on which the Lord can write. You're blessed. So then Swami told that this war, there was one very interesting aspect of this war. In this war, there was one brother of the Pandavas who was on the Kaurava side. But the Pandavas were unaware of it. And he was their arch enemy. And at the end of the battle, during the battle, they had killed him. Because as long as he was there, victory was going to elude them, because he was such a fierce warrior. So at the evening, they celebrated. Beautiful. They were having extravagant celebrations on his death. And then Lord Krishna comes there. And he says, "So what is the occasion for this grand celebration?" And they say, "Oh, we killed Karna, who was our, avowed enemy. And so we are very happy. Now victory in the battle is ours in the near future." And he said, "Oh, so you're rejoicing that you killed your elder brother?" And they're like, "What are you talking about? He's on the Kaurava side. How can he be our elder brother?" Then Krishna tells them, actually, he was the oldest Pandava. And long ago, he was let out by his mother, and so he grew up not knowing that he was actually a Pandava. And through a lot of circumstances, he ended up on the Kaurava side. Suddenly, the joy of the Pandavas evaporated because now they had just realized that they had killed their own brother. And they were distraught. And then Swami said, you see, now it's too late. They can't bring him back to life. They just killed him. And he said, the sad thing is, the same thing is happening over and over again today in today's world. People are killing each other across all sorts of divisions, country to country, one state to another state or country to other country. And they believe that they are killing somebody else and they are rejoicing. But they don't realize they're killing their own brothers. Because all are one in the eyes of God. We are all one family, one human family. We sometimes tend to say one Sai family, but Swami actually says, even beyond that, say one human family. Do not interpose any restrictions on who are members of this family, because everyone is a child of God. That's what he said, the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. He taught me that through these incidents. These are etched in my heart. These are some of those lessons which you can never forget and which shape you and which he intends to shape each one of us. On another occasion, he talked about service. Swami was very keen on service. In fact, he told me there are only two reasons, and in fact, he told even in a divine discourse, he said there are only two purposes for human life. Only two. One, while you are in this human body, serve and serve and serve until you drop dead. Two, know who you really are. If you do these two things, your life is meaningful, sanctified. Else, you have simply consumed resources of the earth. So these are very powerful lessons that he taught me. And all, he gave these are there in his discourses as well. And then, the first foundation of all of this is faith. Why did I give so much value to Swami's words? Because I knew that he is the Lord speaking. How did that faith come? I've shared this earlier, but I'll share it again because, like I said, these are life-changing events. Once, when I was a Sevadal in Chennai, Swami was visiting. This was in the early 80s. And when he was visiting there, one afternoon, we were getting ready, we were sweeping the premises of Sundaram, his residence in Chennai, for the evening darshan and bhajan session. As we were doing that, suddenly we heard a voice from the upper floor. It's a two-storied building, and from the second floor, we heard a voice, and we knew unmistakably it was Swami's voice. So we all turned around and looked. And he was conversing from the second floor to a very renowned Vedic scholar who was on the first floor, on the ground outside. And he was talking to him. And we all gathered just to hear their conversation and to have darshan of the Lord, a bonus darshan, so to speak. And then, in that time in those days, the building was very well decorated. And there were these flower garlands which were hanging from the upper floor to a little lower than the roof or the ceiling of the lower floor. He had all of these, and we were just enjoying the beauty of this Lord in this beautiful creation. Just as yesterday when we were driving down from the airport to Carlsbad, we saw the ocean on the side. It's so beautiful. In fact, I might just take a side detour here as I talk about the ocean. Swami once, when he went to Kerala on the southern tip of India, and he was there at the ocean side, he was asking Professor Kasturi and others with him, what is the name of the ocean in Sanskrit? What can it do for us? And they said, it's called Ratnakara, meaning it has got jewels in it. Then he said, if it has so many jewels, shouldn't it be giving us also some? As he said that, a majestic wave swept around Swami's feet, and as it receded, there was a pearl necklace around Swami's feet, 108 pearls. And Swami said, oh, it has lived up to its name. So beautiful. So anyway, Swami, in that nature of that flowers, was a sight to behold. And we were enjoying this conversation. Suddenly he looked at me, I was nearby, and he said, come up. So I was making my way towards the stairs to go to the upstairs. And then he said, come up. So I thought he wanted me to hurry up, so I was moving faster towards the stairs. And he said, no, come up. Then I was wondering, I thought I was doing that only. But anyway, there's something else. There was a sense of urgency in his voice. He said, come up. And then I saw these garlands hanging there. And so I thought, oh, so he wants me to catch these garlands and come up. So I took a little run up to catch that because it was beyond my height. And I was not able to reach it. So I thought, let me get a stool or a table so that I can get on that and then get onto the garland. And then when he knew my intent, he said, no, it's okay, wait. So I waited, stop, he said. Then he said a beautiful thing. And this is the crux of it. And he said, in Telugu, I'll say it first and then in English. He said, Swami chepte mala nee weight తీసుకుంటుంది. When Swami says so, this flower garland will be able to handle your weight. That flower garland is a flimsy thing actually. Okay? It is, just holding the flowers together and being in place. But he said, when Swami says so, this flimsy structure can hold your weight. That got etched in my heart. His word is very powerful. In fact, even Dr. Reddy, in one of his talks in Puttaparthi, he said, every word of Swami is a mantra. Every sentence a sutra. Every discourse a Veda. 100% true, as I myself found out through my own experience. When Swami says, the impossible is possible. In fact, there is nothing like impossible for him. He who made the creation, he who made the rules of creation, he who made the laws of physics, can transcend all those laws. In fact, on one occasion, since we are talking of Leelas of the Lord, you all remember in the olden days, you may remember some of you, Swami used to do Abhishekam of the silver idol of Shirdi Baba. He would do Vibhuti Abhishekam, meaning he would drench it in a cascade of Vibhuti. Professor Kasturi and later on another Swamiji would hold the pot and Swami would twirl his hand and it would just shower Vibhuti on that. At the end of it, he materialized a diamond and he just pressed it on the diamond and it stuck on silver. So Professor Bhagwantam, who was a great physicist, asked Swami, Swami, how did diamond stick on silver? Swami said, how did that vibhuti come like that? First of all, how did the diamond itself come in my hand? You are looking at it through the eyes of physics. He was a great physicist. I transcend all those. When I will it, diamond will stick on silver. Just by my pressing it. That is one thing we have to understand. That is why the faith in the Lord is very, very important. Why I say this is, unfortunately life sends us many curveballs. Many ups and downs. Sometimes it feels like a roller coaster with no end in sight. You're going up one moment, next thing you go down and you have a sickening feeling in the pits of your stomach, not knowing what is going to happen. All your normal sources of strength and support seem to be deserting you. The friend who you could bank on is out of town. The very person who will answer your every phone call that day has put his phone on silent mode. Basically, everything that can go wrong goes wrong. Just when you don't want it to go wrong. But man's distress is God's opportunity. He steps in at that time and he takes you home. Such is the Lord that we have. And he has not gone anywhere. He is very much here and now. Swami once explained this very clearly. He said, people think that God comes from somewhere when they pray. Certain time will elapse between his travel, however fast, so he may be too late. But Swami never does that. He manifests instantly there. He says it's like this. When you look all around right now, you don't see the moisture in the air here. But there is moisture in every part of this room. When the temperature conditions are such, it gets cool, it precipitates, and depending on the conditions, you get either rain or hail or snow. But it's not as if when the rain or hail or snow happened, moisture from a neighboring place came there. It was always there. The conditions were conducive. So also he says, when you yearn for me, when you pray in despair, I will manifest myself. That is why he could say, and he says, why fear when I am here? The I am is not the physical body. The I am is that spirit, that universal consciousness which is everywhere, where there is no nook or corner of this universe where it is not. Why fear when I am here is again not an empty statement. It has been proved millions of times all over this earth. So faith is very important. Once we have that faith, pay attention to his word. His word is equivalent of he himself. I found many a time he would have talked to us something in the interview, and 2 days later in the divine discourse he said the same things. Or the other way around. He said something in a discourse which I didn't know because I missed it, I was not in town or whatever. I came a week later, and when he talked to me, he said few things from that discourse, and which I found out later on. So, if you ever feel that you ever missed an interview with Swami, I humbly request you to go and read his divine discourses. You will find that Swami is talking to you one-on-one. No intermediaries, nobody in between, nobody trying to be the middleman. It's just between you and the Lord. And you will find that he has the solution to your gravest problems, simplest problems. No problem is too big or too small for his attention. I remember a story which was shared to me. I was not a witness to it myself, but I know of it through a person who was first-hand witness. Once, there was an old lady who had come to Puttaparthi from the nearby village. And in those days, this is back in many, many years ago, Swami used to eat betel nut and leaves. And she, thinking that she could offer something to Swami, she brought a few betel leaves with betel nut, and she wanted to give it to Swami, because she was a very poor villager. Naturally, when she came, her dress was very dirty, and she had tied up this betel leaves and nut in an end of her sari, and she had traveled from her village a few days. So already, it's more than 2 days since she traveled and she came there, and the betel nut and the leaves were all shriveled and dry. But she was hopeful that the Lord would take it. So she sat there hopeful that he will come. And our Lord Sai Krishna, plays his divine Leela, he never went where she was sitting. And she had told some of the volunteers and other people who were better dressed than her of her intent. And they said, no, go away, you almost don't belong here, some of them, ill-informed people. And they tried to shoo her away, and they said, okay, anyway, that she would never give up. So one day, quite exhausted by the heat in Puttaparthi, she was sleeping on the veranda on the ladies' side of the mandir. And she was thinking that is the last day, she's going back to her village. And suddenly, somebody taps her on the shoulder. She thinks it's one of the volunteers trying to shoo her away from there. So no, I'll just go away. And she gets up. And suddenly she sees actually she's talking to Swami. He says, give. She's like, what? She's tongue-tied. She doesn't know what to give. Says, give me my betel leaves and betel nut. Then she opens. Swami partakes of it. He goes. What Swami wants? Is only our heart. People think that you have to be rich and famous. Or hold high titles. No. Positions, titles do not entitle us to His grace. It's only love. Recently, Swami came in my dream, and in that, a lot of us were presenting our reports to Swami. How many medical camps we did, how many other programs we held, and so on and so forth. Swami was listening calmly. Then I was sitting on the other side, I was looking at all the presentations being made. Swami was listening to them, he was happy, but he was not moved. And then it struck me, Swami, in all of this, we never felt oneness with the person who was receiving this service. We did it sometimes, and I'm not saying all, but sometimes we did it as a matter of routine. We are expected to serve the poor. We are expected to serve the needy. We are expected to, and so on and so forth. It's considered the norm. But not once in those moments did we feel oneness with the person who was being served. We felt somehow, in some corner of our heart, that our hand was higher and their hand was lower. We didn't realize that it was actually a handshake of oneness. And when the thought crossed my mind, Swami looked and said, yes, that's it. You got it. I'm only looking, did you feel oneness during that service, during that act of service? If not, it counts for nothing. It's like the rose that I just offered to the Lord. If in that rose there are worms creeping there are thorns all over that rose, when I offer it to Him, He can't take it. The thorns will prevent Him. The thorn is my ego. The worms of jealousy, envy, pride. He says, is your service activity infested by these? Then sorry, I can't accept it. So then I understood that what He's looking for is only that oneness. Strike that chord of oneness. Then you will find Him. In fact, Swami said, you're looking for me in so many places, and we all know this. We have read it in the scriptures, we have read it everywhere. But Swami actually showed it to me. Once He chided me in public, and my fragile ego was broken, shattered. I don't mind getting Pada Namaskar in public. I don't mind getting an interview in public and bragging about it in front of everyone so that you all think that I'm somebody special. But if He scolds me in public, I can't take it, My ego, handle with care, egos are fragile. So my ego was suitably shattered. But I didn't realize that Swami was actually asking me to go inward. And then I had this thought, I came back from India, and then I had this thought in my prayer room. Swami, you say that you are always in me, around me, and all that. So where are you really? How do I identify you? You say you're in me, you're around me, I'm not able to identify you. How do I relate to you, Swami? And then I prayed, Swami, I believe you're saying, and I tied it up with one of his teachings from his previous avatar as Shirdi Baba, and it's also there in his own teachings, in which Shirdi Baba says this. The Sai Baba of Shirdi says, you need not go in search for me anywhere. This is in the Sai Satcharita. Barring your name and form, there exists in you, as in all beings, a sense of being or consciousness of existence. That is myself. Knowing this, see me in yourself and in all others. Thus, you will realize all pervasiveness and become one with me. So I asked him, so I just closed my eyes, and then I asked, what is the sense of being or consciousness of existence? There is something in me which says, I am. We all know that. That's why I'm alive. We know that. And if I may, I'll humbly request you to work with me on this as we just, if I may request you, we'll just close our eyes for a minute and just focus our attention on our sense of being, if I may, and seek your indulgence in this. So for a minute or 30 seconds, whatever it is, please close your eyes, empty all thoughts, and just focus on the sense of being that you have. I'll speak slowly, not to distract you. You know that you're alive. You know that you exist. You know that you are. You know, you can feel that sense of being. And what did Swami say? That is himself. You may open your eyes if you so choose to. That sense of being we take as ourselves, but what Swami is saying is that is himself. In the quote he says, barring your name and form. When we look inside, there is no name and form. There's only an awareness. There's only an awareness. He said, barring your name and form, there's a sense of being or consciousness of existence. That is myself, he says. That awareness which you find within yourself is he himself. But what has happened is that awareness in us, through ignorance, we have identified with this body. And then I say, I am Shyam. Somebody else says, I am so and so. And then we say, oh, I have this trouble. I have that trouble, or I am so great, look at me, the best of the best. Or, you know what, I'm not up to it, people will laugh at me, they think I'm so small. All of this is from a distortion that occurs when that awareness is transferred to this body and its abilities. So we value ourselves, we think ourselves great based on the body and its abilities. Swami is saying, many times he has said, you're not one but three. The one you think you are, body. The one others think you are, your personality. The one you really are, Sai. That is that awareness within us. Even in the Bible it is said, like Sarojini shared earlier, when Moses asked the Lord on the mount, in the burning bush, when he tells him to go and free the people from Egypt, and he says, how can I do that? He says, send that God sent you. And what if they ask me, what is the name of God? What shall I say? Say that I am has sent you. That I am is in each one of us. That I am, when identified with the body, says, I am Shyam. If it's not identified with the body, it's simply I am. You, me, everyone, each one of us that I am. This is the truth. This is what Swami has come to teach us. When we say he has come to raise the consciousness of mankind, fundamentally it is this, to let you know that you are that I am. That's what you see in the title of our book, Faith, Hope and Love, a personal journey from I to I. This I, the small I, is when that I am, through ignorance, identifies with the body or with possessions or relationships. That's a little I. When it drops that, it becomes this big I, which it always was, but which it somehow forgot. Once Swami told Dr. John Hislop, Swami had told, life is a dream, realize it. Then Hislop said, Swami, if all of this is a dream, what are you doing in this dream? He was very honest, he had that closeness. Then Swami said, Hislop, I have come to wake you up from the dream. We are all dreaming that we are these petty personalities. We preen ourselves on our lineage. You know, I am so-and-so, son, daughter, whatever. You know, I am so-and-so in the organization, whatever. You know, I am so-and-so CEO of this company, whatever. Nobody wants to be who they really are. We're always trying to be something which we are not. I'll leave you with this thought. Swami has always said that you should always see that you are better than you were yesterday. It doesn't matter how you were yesterday. Swami said, past is past. Forget the past. So also, let us not seek, for we are the sought. We spend our life in three things, three areas. One, in the thraldom of the senses. Two, in the tyranny of the mind. And three, in the agony of separation. Let us put an end to all three by knowing that we are. I am. You are. Om Shri Sai Ram. Let us close with a song to Swami. When he said this, we already had that bhajan, but Swami, when he sang this song, love is my form, truth is my breath, he stopped the song after one line and he said, when I sing love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food, it is not that that form alone is love, or that form alone is truth, or that form alone is bliss. He said, each one of you who are singing this should realize that love is your form, truth is your breath, and bliss is your food. With that understanding, with that orientation, let us close with this song to Swami. Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. My life is my message, expansion is my life. My life is my message, expansion is my life. No reason for love, no season for love, no birth, no death. No reason for love, no season for love, no birth, no death. Prema Satya Ananda, Dharma Shanti Ahimsa. Prema Satya Ananda, Dharma Shanti Ahimsa. Shirdi Sai, Sathya Sai, Prema Sai, Jai Jai.
Shirdi Sai, Sathya Sai, Prema Sai, Jai Jai.
Shirdi Baba, Sathya Baba, Prema Baba, Jai Jai.
Shirdi Baba, Sathya Baba, Prema Baba, Jai Jai.
Love is my form, truth is my breath, this is my food. My life is my message, expansion is my life.
My life is my message, expansion is my life.
No reason for love, no season for love, no birth, no death.
Reason for love, no season for love, no birth, no death.
Prema dharma, shanti, ahimsa.
Prema, Satya, Ananda, Dharma, Shanti, Ahimsa.
Shirdi Sai, Sathya Sai, Prema Sai, Jai Jai.
Shirdi Sai, Sathya Sai, Prema Sai, Jai Jai.
Shirdi Baba, Sathya Baba, Prema Baba, Jai Jai.
Shirdi Baba, Satya Baba, Prema Baba, Jai Jai.
Love is my form, truth is my bread, bliss is my food. With this understanding, with this awareness, let us now partake in every devotional session, in every SSE session, in every EHV session, in every study circle session, in every outreach effort, in every medical camp, and also when we are not able, part of this, wherever we work, in our business, in our place of work, in our homes, in our interactions, let us operate from that. Truly, then Swami will be so pleased. Don't you think so? Yes. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.